Hi again, everyone. I'm Ollie Matthews. This is the Narcissistic Resistance, and this resistance video is sponsored by contribution from Anonymous, and here's her story. Hello, Ollie and everyone. It's humorous you've had a spate of work-related stories because that was what was going to be my topic as well. But I hope to not come off as redundant and bring something fresh to the discussion. I was recently disapproved for a transfer I put in a year ago. No matter how much I fretted and tried to move it along, I was just told to wait. Ugh. That's what these companies do. Wait, and then it never comes. The bosses can make anything happen if they want to. Exactly. Otherwise, they revel in letting you know your time and life energy means nothing to them. I've heard the term, people don't leave good jobs, they leave bad managers. So I want to emphasize this isn't going to be all woe is me, but an across-the-board indictment. It's beyond because the managers are allowed. I mean, it's not even that it's the managers. Yeah, the managers is what makes it bad directly, but it's the companies who allow the managers to get away with it. It's the human resourceization, however you want to put that, of companies. When companies switched from being personnel to human resources, everything changed. Everything changed. What the fuck is human resources? You know, they made it impossible to hold, and they make it impossible to hold anybody accountable. Except for the people who complain about the people who aren't being held accountable. They'll hold accountable for some reason. The problem with civil service jobs is certain jobs are earmarked for certain people. I don't like to agree with MGTOW, but you know exactly what I'm saying. There are, let's say, a breed of ladies that like the idea of a paycheck and not status. Not so much physical labor and not so much physical labor and thankless work. These water buffaloes leapfrog people who did the time and deserve a more comfortable position now, and they run it like their own private company they built up from the ground. In reality, there's a definite resentment that people know what's up and are forced to be obedient to them. However, they know they're not respected, and there it is. And people will go along to get along in those civil service jobs for the paycheck. And civil service is even worse. I mean, good luck getting rid of somebody in a civil service job. Bear with me, it's not hard to indulge in assessing when you realize no one is keeping score. There's no value in sacrifice. To them, all that matters is what's on paper. So the solid years I tried to do the work of 3 people while their friends and relatives jaw-jacked and didn't come in at all wasn't an admirable strategy. Right. If you do the work of the lazy slag, they'll let you do it. And the company won't care. The company will hold you accountable. Well, you were doing it already. So why aren't you continuing to do it? They'll expect you to do it forever. Because it's easier to deal with you than to deal with the 3 that are fucking off at home and not showing up. Because to deal with them, you got to deal with their supervisors. And then when you deal with their supervisors, you're going to have to deal with some kind of corporate loss prevention or some kind of corporate security. And the thing I always wanted to know when somebody was getting fired, who hired them? How did they get the job in the first place? Let me see the application. And then you go and you look at the application and you find that they didn't even fill that out correctly. So because you didn't do your job, everyone else has to suffer. And to hold that person accountable, to hold those people accountable, is to hold the people who hired them accountable. That's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. See, if you're going to go be the complaining pants, it's real easy for them to turn it around against you. Oh, look at Anonymous. She's just Miss fucking Complainy Pants all the time. Make her go away. And we can get back to fucking status quo of everybody fucking off at work. And nobody gets held accountable. There's your civil service. That's what happens in corporate America. That's what happens in civil service government jobs. And the problem with civil service government jobs is that's a taxpayer expense. See, people have asked me, like, well, what do you do about these civil service jobs? What do you do about these redundant civil service jobs that serve no purpose other than to give these people a paycheck? What do you do with them? You know what you do with them? You send them home. You furlough them, and you continue to pay them. And you say, I'm going to pay you to sit home and do nothing at this point, because you can't take it away, because those were the deals that were made. But the damage they do in productivity loss quadruples whatever it is you're paying them. You want to take their motivation away to fight back and to fuck shit up? Okay, you got to keep paying them. You got to send them out, send them away, and keep paying them to stay away. Oh, I'm going to sit home and be paid anyway? Oh, all right, do whatever you want. They would always lean on me to do more, do them a favor every day. It was like a Chinese fire drill. I thought it was appreciated, but I was really was being a straight up sucker, a chump that enabled them. Yep. They didn't have to discipline or put the screws to their BFFs because I picked up the slack. The higher-ups aren't there, so on paper, if the work is done, they look great. Doesn't matter if 5 people do the work or 2. No, if anyone said anything, they were the problem because it was all hidden. So if 2 people can do the work of 5, then you don't really need the 5 people in the first place, do you? Do you? That's why they're denying your transfer. That's why they're denying your transfer. That's the civil service. This is how government works, folks. And this is how big corporations work as well. I was a reliable plow horse, wanted a day off, it was denied. But if a golden calf wanted it, it was approved. This is key because the good worker now has a red mark because their hand was forced into calling in sick, while the bum record stays clear. And get this, all at their discretion. I've seen people get denied for a funeral, another get approved for a basketball game. A lot of it is being grandfathered out in that back in the day, before tracking and tech, people got away with a lot more. But all that did was set more precedents so they could punish and stress the next people in line, because they're the ones who now have to support themselves and the retired loafers. Not to mention, quite a few have been retired longer than they quote-unquote worked. Got to take it out on someone's hide, right? That's how it works, man. Bleeding new dry. You never get used to being hounded for every second, while lumps who contribute not one lick are exceedingly accommodated. It's all a parlor trick, a sleight of hand to keep the favored ones protected. The old boomer adage of, you're lucky to have a job, keeps people scared and quiet while they run roughshod over everyone. Don't let the left hand know what the other is doing. And that is a perfect example, because the boomers are the ones who created the human resource culture. The boomers are the ones who demanded that personnel now become human resources. When it was personnel, it was cold, it was fact-laden. You brought them something. Either you were disciplined, you were not disciplined. Not this, oh, we got to look into this, and we got to do an investigation, and we got to do this, and we got to do that. The human resource station of the world, brought to you by baby boomers. Brought to you by baby boomers to protect baby boomers. And what have I been yelling about on this channel? Pensions. Baby boomer pensions. They bled us dry. They bled us dry, and they left us a system of dysfunction to protect themselves and protect themselves. You got to cut the bleeding somewhere at some point. Unfortunately, the way I look at it, if you got 2 people who could do the work of 5, then you don't need those other 3 people. Fuck off. Get out. And I'm sure if they did that, you know what? If you're going to do the work of 3 people, 1, if you could do the work of 5 people with 2, get rid of the other 3 and give a little bit more money to the 2 who are doing the fucking job. Duh. Duh. That's not how they work, is it? Is it? Now, don't get me wrong. I've seen my share of great workers flat out quit. And not from the job, really, strictly how they were treated. Since I'm an uneducated doofus, I was scared to ever make that move. But I know growing up, narc plays. But I know growing up, narc plays a big factor. See, whether you keep your job has a lot to do with how easy the supervisor wants to make it for you. I even thought in the beginning, joke's on you, I'm already miserable. Because I thought everyone went through it, a hazing or vetting type situation. But it's just not like that. Older women were hired and went straight to the cushy, non-physical spaces. Boomers. Like I said, system created by boomers for boomers and to protect boomers. Hires were few and far between, so just when I thought I was getting a relief pitcher, they put them right on the bench. And why wouldn't they? They're throwing their weight around. You have to do what they say. They overcompensate for being basically flunkies in a fairly looked down upon operation. They want to be big shots with no clout. The only thing they have is power over the cattle, and they absolutely retaliate solely out of vindictiveness and spite. They're protecting listen, they know they're useless. Look, they know they're useless. They know they're basically grifters off the government. They're basically welfare. I mean, they're basically welfare recipients is what they are. Government welfare recipients is what they are. They just show up. They just show up somewhere and they do no work. They want to make sure their workhorse keeps the friggin' gravy train rolling. Because it's all about making those years and getting that government pension for life. I thought this was just a job, not a Russian gulag, but that's how they run it. Pol Pot would be proud. He has mini-me inflicting a lot of human misery, and for no reason. It will only get worse as everyone is at each other's throats. There's a union, a contract, but it's all on paper. Of course, unions are useless. Unions are in it for the money, for the politics, for the money. All going to the Democrat Party. The unions are useless. The unions are nothing more than another political action committee. Going all to one party, the Democrats, who are going to protect the pensions, who are going to protect government workers, who want to expand government, who need more of these lazy boomer heifers to come in and sit on their asses and collect taxpayer money for nothing in return. I'm sure you wouldn't mind, Anonymous, if they fired these women, okay, and gave you a nice salary bump for all the work you do and recognize, say, hey, here's a promotion, here's a title, here's some more money for doing the work of 3 people and allowing us to fucking downsize. Nope. Nope. It's not how the system was designed. But the supervisors keep their pimp hands strong. If workers keep running it off, they don't have to hire more people. If someone gets hurt pushing themselves, they will be blamed for not following the proper way. It's a lose-lose situation. I can't emphasize enough that that can work in the system are the ones that last. The ones that can work in the system are the ones that last. They just do what they want when they want. No worries, nothing's going to happen. Meanwhile, I've seen people die right after or even before retirement because they let it take a toll on them. They did too much. They ran their bodies till the wheels fell off. And for what? For them? The post office forgot. I knew it was the post office. I knew it was the post office. I knew it was the post office. The post office forgot about them before the body was even cold. I guess I could just say where I work. I'm sure a lot of your viewers could guess anyway. I knew it was the post office. And you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. I have a friend. I have a friend of mine. Okay? Who does this, works in one of the post office distribution centers. He didn't show up to work for like 3.5 months. No call, no show, just shows up with a doctor's note. They put him right back to work. He's working 3 days. You don't want to really be there. He's been home another 1.5 weeks. I'm like, they're going to do anything? He just, all right. All right. She's not lying. I know firsthand she's not lying. I knew this was the fucking post office. Oh my Christ. I just want to say I have 1,200 hours of sick leave. You don't get that by not showing up. But the HR, there it is. The HR person said he's never called in. All due respect, sitting in an office on your duff is slightly different than being out in the elements day after day. And he looked, and he only looked at the last 3 years. He wouldn't let that go. It wasn't egregious, but after almost 24 of being played for a fool, I used a few days. Wow, what a crumb bum I must be. Ready for this? Your fate is at the mercy of one HR's whim. They ain't going to do shit. You're a government employee. They ain't going to do shit to you. They're going to give you a lot of threats. And this is what my friend said. They sat me down and they threatened to start documenting this shit. They did nothing. They do nothing. They do nothing. What one person would consider acceptable attendance, another doesn't. In what world does that make sense? If there was a universal standard like you can't take over this amount for a transfer, fair enough. But for a capital crime or a terminal diagnosis, you can get a second opinion. But I can't have one set of eyes to reason with. He's just that important. Get the fuck out of here. I did file in grievance, but I have no faith in it. Yeah, that's going nowhere. Post office is fucked up. The post office is bankrupt. This is why. This is why. The sad thing is this dope is depriving the other office of a good worker. He won't take anything into consideration. It's almost surreal. We don't work for the CIA. It's just a letter carrier job. Instead of here, I can do it there. But like everything, they can take the simplest thing ever, turn it into endless, baffling, non-sequential ordeal. I'm not saying I'm always perfect, but damn, who is? I wonder if you're writing about my buddy. I'm wondering if you're writing about him. The thousands of times I came in sick on my day off, worked over when the others left, all of it should have meant something. It doesn't. It doesn't. Now that I ask one thing of them, they spit right in my face. There's a great line in the documentary Divorce Court where we're going to fight for you. And even if you win, you're going to think that you lost. Kind of sums up the lumbering government bureaucracy perfectly, doesn't it? Exactly. And I don't want to I know you work for the post office, but here's the thing. FedEx, UPS, DHL, the other companies can move that shit much more efficiently than the federal government. And here's why. Because you got taxpayer employees, funded employees, most of which don't give a shit. Once you're in, they can't fire you. I am watching what my buddy's doing. I am watching what my buddy's doing. He didn't show up to work through Christmas. He like stopped showing up in September and didn't show back up again until January 15th or something like that. Nothing. So stop being a dupe and stop being a sucker for these people. They're your days. You got 1,200 hours of fucking personal time. Use it. Use it. You're sick? Go get a doctor's note. There's nothing they can do about it. There's nothing they can do about it. But what we got here, and what you called out earlier, is this is the baby boomer's gift. This is another baby boomer gift to us. The human resourceization of the government and of businesses. The day human personnel, they switch from being personnel to human resources, is the day the floodgates open for all this bullshit. For all of this bullshit. Here's the thing, Anonymous. They can't just fire you. They can't. You've been there too long. You got too much sick time accrued. There's not a goddamn thing you can do. The problem is you have a work ethic. And you understand this is government money, your taxpayer money you're dealing with, and people's mail and people's livelihoods. And there are still senior citizens who get their bills through fucking snail mail and other things through snail mail. So you have some pride and you understand there's a responsibility. Most of the people you work with don't. And there ain't a goddamn thing you can do about it. Why? Because there's no accountability. The only accountability are for the people that work hard and complain about the ones who aren't working hard. Because you're the one who's going to try to fucking topple in their eyes. You're going to try to stop the gravy train and topple the whole thing. And they can't have that. This was a system set up for baby boomers, by baby boomers, to protect baby boomers. Human resources. Thanks, boomer. Thanks, boomer. So, I hope that helps. Thank you so much for another contribution and story, Anonymous. I really appreciate it. Thank you to everybody watching. Please leave any opinions or advice in the comment section below. And again, if you want your story read on the channel, you have a topic you'd like me to cover, a narcissist you'd like to expose, you'd like to have a private video made, or you'd just like to make a contribution to the channel in general to keep it supported, growing, and successful, because this channel survives 100% on contributions from all of you. Without you guys, all of this goes away, and YouTube and Google would like that to happen sooner than later. So if you like what you see here and you want to see more videos like this, you know what to do with the PayPal and email links in the description box. Also, please like and share this video wherever you can. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't. And be sure to click the subscription bell to be notified of all my video uploads. Also, be sure to check me out on the library app, which links are in the description box too. I'm Ollie Matthews. This has been The Narcissistic Resistance. Take care.